Hello, this is the Joseph Evaldi Podcast, and this is my fourth take at doing it. I was going to discuss about time, how do you find enough time to do something, but I've been at this for a very long time, doing it over and over again. First, with my new laptop, and the soundboard mixer does not work on the new laptop. I don't know, but that's how it is. So I'm using my old laptop where it works, and somehow it froze on me the first time, and now this is the fourth take at doing a podcast that should have been done a long time ago. So I'm getting all the time in the world to do this, and it's getting very tedious, as many things. You spend the time doing the things, you don't get the chance to do the things that you want to do, but you're doing all the things that you don't want to do, and you gotta go through it over and over again until you actually do it. Well, I'm gonna wing it this podcast. It's gonna be an impromptu podcast, because whatever I was going to say before isn't necessarily prevalent now, even though it is. Time management and buying time. How do you buy time? Well, time has a funny way of working it. You find all the time in the world, and you might be taking so much time out of your schedule to do those things that you don't want to do, but you do them. Yet the things that you want to do, you don't get a chance to do them. So what do? One, you got to take time for yourself. With taking time for yourself, you get to do the things that you want to do and accomplish it. But this is not necessarily easily. You don't get that time. You have to make time. How do you make time? You got to create space in your environment to free up time. Because every little thing you have is filled with obligations. And if you have a lot of clutter, you have a lot of obligations. And unfortunately, I have a lot of obligations. But the truth is, why do we have so much stuff? Well, if you're a Gen Xer, you were brought up with a baby boom philosophy, and that was to hoard and consumption. You had your grandparents' generation, the greatest generation, who did not want to get rid of anything that they had. They saved it. They hoarded it. Because times were rough when they were around. So that came to the next generation that expanded as much as it can expand into my generation, who just consumed everything because we were told that. we were told it's good to consume to a certain extent until it eats up at your time and you're drained at night and you wonder why. This is the dilemma many of us face nowadays. If you have too much stuff. Growing up in my generation, we had video games updating every 2-3 years. It's that same thing with laptops, same thing with technology, same thing with iPads, everything else. Upgrade. Next thing you know, you have a sea of technology living in your area and everything is competing with your time. Why is that? Well, right now, I'm tired as I'm talking because this podcast was supposed to be done at 1 o'clock, but it's 1:30 in the morning. And I would have exerted myself because you have work and everything else. We work and we work. But the truth is working so many hours worth it for stuff? Is working well, there's more to work. Teamwork and everything else. I'm not downplaying it. But what I am saying is those 10 hours that you work, can you take those 10 hours off and do something that you want to do? Take time out. Build a business. Write. Read. Do what you need to do. I'm going to discuss about that after the break.
How do you save money? In my first book, I taught you why we go broke. If you read my book, you understand that there are many ways we can go broke, and you will understand that you need to understand about saving money, or at least not spending more than you make. If you're picking up this book because you need more tips on how to reinforce your saving skills, then this book is for you. I first want to tell you my story and enforce to you why saving is important. I didn't take the advice when I was younger. I read a book that said at least 10% needs to be saved for retirement or to be saved in The Richest Man of Babylon. There is one major rule with saving money, and that is you want to spend less than you make and have your money work for you. Many people feel the 401k or Social Security will be good for them, but that is not enough. This is why the second rule is having your money make more money. What happens if there are problems? Let's say you get laid off from your job, your car breaks down, or something in your house breaks down. There are cases where you need an emergency fund saved up. There are many tricks in saving money, and there are many tips to put your money aside for a rainy day. The trick is not to touch it and let it build up. There are more tips. I only gave you a few. It is only up to you to do this. One final tip along your saving travels, and that is you can live your life day to day, or you can plan for the future and relax a little.
That was saving, how to save your money. Written by Joseph Evaldi, narrated by Ken Aiken. It is now available on Audible and iTunes. Back to the podcast. I'm back. And last time I left is to do what you want to do with time. Well, I'm going to sum it up this way. What is life? Life is doing the things you want to do. But since we made so many decisions before in the past, it left us spellbound into doing the things we don't want to do. If you were brought up in Catholicism or in religions, not knocking them, but you were taught guilt and obedience to God. Now, I raise this topic not to downplay it, because it is good, but the guilt part. Many of us internalized that guilt, and instead of attaching it to the things we've done to warn us about something, we've attached it to feelings about stuff. Now, why do we hold on to something? Why do we feel guilty about taking the time that we need? And when we have it, we sleep or waste it away. Time catches up to us. And all of these decisions catch up to us sooner or later. And sooner or later, we're going to have to make decisions about stuff. We might not want to, but we have to. To make that cycle of time pass. To release and rejuvenate. Renew. That's what this season of spring is all about, and Easter as well too. Or it is to rejuvenate and to renew. Now, many of us around this time are pushing for things to be done. And it's usually around April, May, September, December, and the cycle repeats. This cycle is the cycle of life. Many of us fail and neglect to accept the cycle of change. But it's that cycle of